What's up, retirees and future retirees? I am a future retiree, and we actually have a retiree with us.
Here today.
So Paul here is a teacher I met at Lakewood High School. And I remember texting him to go see his classroom, and he welcomed me with open arms and was helping me out with everything. And when I saw his classroom for the first time, it was one of those moments where you're like, ah.
Super inspiring.
Yeah. And the best part was Paul wasn't trying to keep anything to himself. He was actually very helpful, and he offered a lot of suggestions. We wrote that $100,000 grant together, and when we both earned that, we upgraded both our classrooms.
Yes.
And here we are today. Like 9 years later?
Nine years later.
Well, that's when I switched from teaching math to teaching photo and video.
Oh yes, it is like one of the funnest subjects. It's fun to be creative, and to see students be inspired, to be creative, and to ultimately, have goals of maybe working in the industry. Or sometimes this journey of teaching photo and video, it takes a different iteration than just being straight out production. I have, students that make molecules for Amgen. They're not making films, they're doing 3D molecules. Like if you saw the COVID molecule, it was probably made by my student. But that all comes back from him taking photo video and saying, I really like this, and then kind of mashing it up with his biology major, and look where he's at now.
Yep. And recently I just got a student who he went on the deep end of filmmaking. He got into the USC cinema school, I believe. Yeah, cinema art school.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're working it out right now with finances. I'm trying to help him a little bit.
Oh yeah.
With how to finance that, because it's expensive to go to USC.
Oh yes, it's like a whole nother bank account.
For real, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? My salary in a year.
Yeah. And that's like per semester.
But we are here to talk about retirement. So the first question I'm gonna have for Paul is, when did you start noticing like your retirement Social Security contribution in your paychecks and stuff like that?
I would say I kind of fell into teaching. I started as a long-term sub, got offered a full-time job teaching, and then that's how I got into teaching. And kind of early into my career, I had a mentor teacher that kind of helped me, because for those of you that are teachers, your first 3 years are just awful. They're horrible, it's hard. And so to have someone there that could kind of coach you and just kind of give you some of the guidance that you need is very helpful. So I would say they approached me maybe my third year teaching, maybe it was my 5th year teaching, of what are your plans for the future? And what are your goals, and how can I help you? And that's kind of been my thing as a teacher, is just asking students, what are your goals and how can I help you? And sometimes it's hard because their goals are very short-sighted, but you run across students that are thinking long-term. And I think as teachers, we learn to think long-term, at least more than what am I doing in my classroom today. It's like, what is my goal this week or this month, or how am I going to finish the year? And so as I got to that place where I started thinking about the future, that was the place where I started to think about retirement goals and putting money away, and kind of getting ready for the eventual end of my career.
And how many years teaching in was that before you realized, hey, I gotta kind of start getting serious? I got a plan for this thing called retirement. And, it's so far away sometimes for some people. It's like, I'll just do it later.
Yeah. So I would say I was in my 30s. So that I mean, if I was going to give you advice, it's save early, save often. Or invest early, invest often. And so I was fortunate in my 30s to get started. And, if you're just, if you're just starting out in teaching, you're not making huge piles of money, but you're making enough that you can live on. And so I wasn't maxing out my 403B at the time, but eventually, probably by my late 30s, I started to really see the advantage of like compound interest and how it all would add up. So I began to then max out my 403B. And the nice part was is when you get around, I can't remember if it's 50 or 55, you can do make-up contributions.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and made up what I had not been able to contribute when I was in my first part of my teaching career. And then Social Security wise, it was kind of a twofold way that it worked out. And I have to say, the neat thing is the law just passed, so now I get all my Social Security. They used to have a thing called the windfall offset, and they would just, take a big chunk off the top, so you didn't get all that money that you paid in, you weren't going to get back. But now the law's changed, so you get it all. So it becomes much more advantageous to think about Social Security. So for me, I had worked my 40 quarters just doing work during college and during high school. But if I had, advice, it's find a way to pay those quarters. So either it's a part-time job in the summer. I don't know if like teaching summer school still, at one point when you taught summer school, you could count, they would take Social Security out. So there are certain assignments that I guess you could look into and see where they take Social Security out so you can pay your 40 quarters, because that becomes advantageous at retirement, because you've got to pay for your Medicare. And so your Social Security can kind of help you pay your Medicare.
Okay. That windfall law, when I learned about it, I was like, man, because right now as California teachers, we don't really contribute into Social Security. We have this thing called CalSTRS that helps us out. And we'll get into CalSTRS a little bit, but let's continue on with Social Security. With Social Security and this new windfall act, it's now gone. We can tap in to what you said after you've worked 40 quarters. Now, I've also been working since I started when I was 14, but I don't know if that counts towards
if you paid into
counts. Social Security. So I didn't work consistently because it was a summer job at 14, but I did work for the city of Long Beach through a summer youth employment program. So I need to go in, and I'm going to let Paul talk about it here if he knows. Who do I need to contact to understand how the numbers, like how many quarters have I worked to be able to benefit from Social Security, if it's still there by the time I retire?
Okay, so the way Social Security worked, you used to be able to just go to socialsecurity.gov or ss.gov or ssi.gov and check it out. But the government's going to a one-stop shop for like Medicare and Social Security and different government programs. And I should have looked this up. But if you Google Social Security, you're looking for something like governmentid.gov or something like in that flavor, and you can go online and it will tell you how many quarters you've worked. It will tell you your estimated Social Security payout, depending upon how many, like how many quarters you've paid in, how much you've paid in, how much if you retired at 55 you'd get. It's very helpful, particularly when you're looking at that retirement horizon at 55 of, can I take Social Security at like, I think it's 60 or 58 or somewhere in there. And what's the difference between taking it early and waiting until you get the full benefits at 67? So there's a big calculation that you want to make. And I'm sure you could look at and see, if I guess I'm going to live this long, if I take my payout early, am I going to make it up by taking it early with the discount versus waiting to 67 and taking the full retirement? So that's something that you'll have to run your calculations on. But you can check your Social Security contributions and how many quarters you've made through the government website.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know, that you can buy towards your not your contribution, but you can buy towards your quarter. So that's something I'm going to have to look into and do my homework on, and then go to the website and basically search for this, because I didn't know before scheduling this interview with you that the Windfall Act is now gone. And so now I can look into, okay, during those years of working during high school and college, because I started teaching at 25 and I worked as, I told you earlier, as a college aide. Well, first I started with summer youth employment, so hopefully that contributed into Social Security. And I started at 14, and then I did another year of that. And then I did work as a part-time coaching gymnastics
Oh,
for 3 years,
yes.
and I switched over to coaching cheer and doing college aiding until I was done with college by my um, 6th year, and then my 7th year I started substitute teaching. It was when I
Yeah.
was rolling in the big money,
Yeah.
as one would say, before I
Yeah.
actually started my teaching career at
Yes.
25.
Uh-huh.
So in terms of quarters, I can kind of do basic math right now and do it, but I'm not going to do it because I want to continue on with the
Yeah,
conversation.
absolutely.
So for those of you out there who are curious about how to tap into Social Security, do your research on the Social Security website and figure out your numbers, so that way you can put that into your calculation, like what I'm going to do when probably get home tonight. Do that, dig in, start burrowing since I'm on spring break,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and let's talk about time, how time is key. You started investing at what age to supplement your retirement?
Oh, okay. So
Investing in terms of like you
are
own
you
your
talking?
brokerage account, not a 403b.
Yes.
I'm talking about like a brokerage account where you buy stocks and
Yeah.
invest in ETFs or whatever it is that
Yes.
you did.
So, okay. So first thing was the 403Bs because taxes. Taxes, for me, taxes are the real motivation of where my money goes. So first priority was 403Bs because it lowers my taxes. The next thing would then be to go into a brokerage account. And I started about 2000. So, um, at first I was trying to be a day trader and sit there and some people are really good at it. But I was just mediocre at it. So I began to look into a more diversified portfolio, looking at ETFs and mutual funds. Uh, but I'd say at my time, a lot of people were investing in CDs because the interest rates were high just because of the way the economy was running at the time. And I was able to get better returns than a CD just by investing in mutual funds, and just kind of do a little research, figure out which mutual funds had the best return, and then putting my money there. And the advantage of investing, 45 years, 20, a lot of years, 25 years ago. Yes, math was not a math major.
Yeah.
Investing 25 years ago have paid great dividends as far as that compounding idea that the money has, I never took the money out. So it would basically invest upon itself. And I haven't even needed to take the money out now. You can just take money out you leave the principal alone. You can use the interest.
Yeah, let the money do the work for you. And your
Yeah.
interest makes you more interest.
Yes.
And so this should make you more interested instead in learning about retirement, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's what a lot of people don't understand is me being a math major, I get compound interest. Everyone has learned in high school, before you go to college, you have learned simple interest in Algebra 1, and then you learn more about compound interest, daily, quarterly in Algebra 2.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are trying to maximize, if you can find something that compound interest daily, that's the best way to go. Because daily, it'll take whatever you have, use that from the previous day to calculate for the next day, and you will compound a lot faster. And a lot of students, I taught math, so they understand it, but they don't know how to apply it. And so luckily for me, I understood it and I know how to apply it. And that's the reason why I started investing as well. Not as early as you, because I was too busy trying to, get my life together, buy a house and all that stuff, and travel and all that. But I'm done with all that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with starting a little later because now I'm really digging into retirement. I have 11 years to go. And so I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Most of my riches is in my house.
Yeah.
And so with compound interest, you just need time. Let time do the work for you. And you just sit back and just let interest make you more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And keep contributing. Yeah.
And I guess I would add, this is kind of a side note, but I would add is don't borrow for depreciating items.
Yep.
So
such as
college. Okay, so we're talking to teachers here. Okay, you've already got your 4-year degree. If you've got debt, talk about compound interest. Is paying the interest on that debt. The service on that debt can get very, very expensive. So when you have the time, you need to get that master's degree because you're going to up your income. And the sooner you do it for retirement, the better off you are, because when you hit that horizon for your retirement, if you've taught 25 years or more, then it's your best year. And
Mhm.
if you've taught under 25 years, then it's an average of your last 3 years. So if you make that extra money with your master's, then you move over on the pay scale
Mhm.
and you chart up and you basically have a higher retirement income. But again, don't borrow for the master's degree.
Mhm.
Just find a school that offers a master's degree that will get you the bump in salary.
Yeah, that's what I did. In my third year of teaching, my wife found me a master's degree program that I invested $30,000 into,
Mm-hmm.
and it jumped my pay the next year because it was only a 1 year program, and it was tough working full time, going to school
Yeah.
full time. But you know what? It's literally paying dividends and interest on
Yes.
my earning because it jumped $10,000
Yeah.
from in one year. Once
Right.
I was all the way to the far right end of the pay scale. I'm still there, and so
Mm-hmm.
I can't really get paid anymore unless there's a pay increase to keep up with inflation or whatever
Right.
or the bargain that the union does
Right.
for me. And so that is very important that you get your master's as soon as you can. Yes, it's gonna suck if you're gonna try to do full-time teaching and full-time work, but if you're planning to be in this game of education for a very long time and
Yes.
then retire from it, your master's or a bunch of units. You don't have to technically get a master's. Get a bunch of units
Yeah.
done, and then you will move yourself to the end of the pay scale, and it will compound over the years of you've been teaching. So let's do basic math here.
Mm-hmm.
I taught for 3 years. This is my 19th year, so 16 years or so of me jumping that $10,000 pay scale.
Yeah.
Just do the math. 16 years times $10,000. That's
Mm-hmm.
$160,000 in the 16 years that I've been able to contribute into my retirement 403b,
Right.
my brokerage account, so on and so forth. So we highly,
Yeah.
highly recommend you get to that end of the pay scale as soon as possible.
And don't borrow money to get there,
Yeah.
because then that money you would be making investing, you're paying off service on your loan.
Yeah.
And so again, the 160,000 that you have made extra,
Mhm.
just think if you had invested that and you get the compound interest
Yeah.
on that instead of using that to pay the service on your loan.
Yeah.
So it's don't borrow for depreciating assets.
Yeah. So luckily for me, I did borrow, but I had a couple of years or so to pay it off, and I paid it off, and I only paid a little bit of interest on top of that.
Okay.
Borrowed $30,000 that I was borrowing from.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the sad part was? I didn't know that could have been wiped out because I teach at a Title I school or whatever.
Oh, yes.
And I found out too late, and I was like, geez,
man.
I paid all that money that could have gone into
Yeah.
my retirement and whatnot. But you know
Yeah.
what? I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'll be okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then so after you realize like you've worked enough, you've saved enough, like when did you started knowing this is the right number and the right years of work for me to be able to just retire and be comfortable?
So as a teacher, I would say when you get, I think I was 55 at the horizon where you first can retire. I went to STIRS, and they do classes or seminars, and they'll lay out the scenarios for you, which helps you to set a goal, because you can say, oh, okay, I need to do my makeups for my 403b, or I need to go get my master's if I hadn't done that, because they'll run all the scenarios for you. And maybe it's like, okay, I need to build up a few more sick days because those will compensate for times of, for service time. And if I don't have a whole number of service hours. So those are things. So it was about 55 that I really went to STIRS and said, what's my event horizon? How many years of service do I need? How much service credit do I have? That combination of service credit versus years of service and age. That's the other thing that's hard is just looking at when's the best age to retire. And what you'll see is, I think it's about between 55 and 61. It's like exponentially jumped each year. So it's kind of like if you're retired on the job, but you can be motivated to be a good job as a teacher. There are teachers that I call them retired on the job. They hate teaching, they hate kids, and it's horrible for the poor students because their teacher doesn't want to be there, doesn't want to teach them, And so they have a horrible experience. But if you find joy in teaching, if you still really like what you're doing, then you really kind of figure out that event horizon. And there's motivation. It's like, oh, I'm 55, I can retire. But the stair step of those last 5 years between 55 and 60 are just exponential. So it's kind of like if you're in your 50s, hang in there, because that payoff is coming at 60, 61, 61 and a half, somewhere in there.
Okay. So I understand that, the exponential part, but me on the other end, I'm trying to get out as soon as I can, because if I hit 55, I hit my 30 years, I get my benefits, and I don't have to worry about my health benefits because the district will take care of me. And if I invest well, save well, I can invoke the rule of 55, which is going to be another video. We're not going to talk about the rule of 55 right now. But yeah, it's there's this. Okay, so I'm going to have to ask you here on the spot.
Oh, no, that's fine.
There are a lot of older folks who are encouraging people to retire as soon as possible, as if the numbers make sense.
Yes.
Right. And there's this $1 million like dream that everybody's trying to hit, or 1.5 million or 2.5 million, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think it is a good idea to retire early? Because one of the things that people I've been watching on YouTube and talking to other folks who are older than me, and I'm learning from them, because that's the point of this video, is to learn from you, is it worth continuing to work if you know that at 66 is where one of the major things that happen in life, like when you get sick or get hit with
sure.
because statistics say 66 is when American males, will start to, get that random major health hit. What do you think? I understand it's situational.
Yeah, it's situational. I wanted to wait because I wanted to maximize my income.
Okay.
I wanted to maximize my income. I think the other thing too is I wanted to retire debt-free. So I waited until I could pay off my house.
Smart.
So
smart choice.
but that's kind of, for me, it's like, don't borrow for depreciating items, don't go into debt. And so for me, it was this idea of retiring debt-free. So my 55 to 61 was, let's pay off the house. If I'd paid off the house earlier, then I might have considered retiring earlier. But there's advantages to owning property and having the tax advantages. And but that was my big motivating factors. I didn't want to have debt when I retired. And so that was just pay off the house and I'm good to go.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's I know that I can pay off my house like right now if I take the money out of my savings and then just throw it at the house.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to let that thing compound, because for me, mathematically speaking, I'm paying a 1.85% rate on my house, and I have $100K left.
Yes.
It's no point in me just throwing all my money into that. Why don't I just keep the money in the market and let it grow an average of 6 to 10%?
Yes.
I mean, the market's kind of crap right now, but it's okay because we're thinking long term and thinking in decades. We're not thinking like, right now, So mathematically speaking, I'll make more on my money that I throw into the market or saving in my Roth 403B than I would be to just pay off the house.
Yes.
So I'm willing to suck it up for another 7 years or so to pay off my house.
Sure.
And then, I still have to work until I'm 55. 7 years from now, I'll be 50. I still have 5 years of good working years to be debt-free.
Yes.
And the big expense I plan on getting is a reliable car. I'll have a place.
Yeah.
I need to be mobile, so I need a more reliable car to last me through my retirement.
Yes.
So it's situational, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm pushing everyone to retire as soon as possible, because if you start early, you can retire early. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, we're going to come back to let time do the compounding interest for you if you save well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess some of it's delayed gratification that, you want to take that big trip, but you're taking that money out of its potential earning. So, and maybe I take one big trip a year instead of 3, but it's, again, for me, it was more the delayed gratification. It's like, I can travel more now for less than I could when I was working, because I had to travel in the summer when it's awful weather. I had
Mhm.
to travel at spring break when
Mhm.
everybody else was traveling. Now we travel during this, what we call the shoulder seasons. And
Mm.
so a lot of tours and different hotels, travel, flights are all less because it's shoulder season. People are working and they're not
Mm.
traveling.
Yeah.
So my dollars go further now that I'm retired. So it's kind of that I took money and invested it, and now I have that money, just the interest on that money I'm able to travel with because
Mm.
I waited and let it compound.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
totally makes sense to me. Does it make sense for you
We
guys out
hope it
there?
makes, yeah.
So for me, I'm living that micro retirement life where you're
Uh-huh.
talking about like that one big vacation.
Yeah.
So I normally, when there's a big break, I normally leave the country,
Okay.
and so I've done enough of my traveling already, where
Mm-hmm.
now I have 10 years, 11 years to save for retirement, where
Yeah.
I'm all traveled out. I don't have an itch to travel anymore.
Okay.
So like
Sure.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with traveling. So now I can save like seriously. But like you said, if you cut back a little bit, you put that money towards retirement and let that compound.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably retire earlier,
Yeah.
but
But
I need to
age.
yeah, but
Age.
I need to wait anyway. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, might as well just do my micro retirement because mental health is a thing now, right?
Yeah.
And if you just work, and you're not giving yourself a break to recuperate, to rejuvenate, or whatever it is,
Right.
especially in this field,
Sure.
people think like, oh, it must be
Oh,
nice to
so
go to your
easy.
work and then
Yeah.
go home and do nothing. Excuse me, it's called
Yeah.
lesson planning. It's called grading. It's
Yeah.
called phone calls to home because
Oh, sure.
kids are, being mischievous to be
Or
nice.
or just it's just like, hey, things are changing. I've got to learn something new.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Oh, and by the way, we need to go to this training over the summer.
yeah.
And then, oh, must be nice to have those 3 months off. Yeah, without pay.
Yeah.
That's like
Again,
the
yeah.
myths, right? Oh,
Yeah.
must be nice. It is, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah. And it costs. There's a cost that comes with that niceness.
Yeah. So you really do have to be relatively financially savvy to be able to survive the summers because
Yeah.
you don't want to get that what you talked about earlier, go into debt for depreciating assets,
Yeah.
right? Because that sucks away your money.
Yeah.
And yeah, those percentage rates are much higher than what you would pay for it to compound.
Yes.
So the goal is to constantly, as much as you can, be debt free.
Yes.
Yeah. So thinking back on it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're retired, you've gone through the whole like planning process, and you're retired for like 3 years, 4 years.
4 years now.
4 years now, because I remember you went out at 2021, right?
Yeah. Right at the end of COVID.
Yeah.
So I didn't get I didn't get a retirement party because they weren't allowed.
Oh, geez. We can throw you a late one.
Okay.
Throw you a late one. But looking back at all those years that of teaching, of saving, what are some things that you felt like you could have done different to improve your situation for retirement?
I would say, as far as retirement, there's just a couple things. One, I would say look for my health to make sure that I am making healthy practice as far as like exercise, diet. Those are things that can really extend out your retirement. Some of my peers are already having health challenges because they made poor health choices early on. The other thing is, they kind of joke about this, but investing early, investing often, of maxing out that 403B as soon as you can. And then if you can't, use those makeup years to get that money working for you. So that would be the first, investing my health, and then financially investing. I didn't buy a house until I was older, just because of the way my finances worked out. And gosh, there's a whole other episode on that. But saving, investing, and health, those would probably be the big, and school, getting that master's degree early so that you really bump up the pay scale. Those would be kind of my, like, if I had it to do over again, those would be things that I'd change.
Okay. Yeah. For me personally, I think I should have contributed more earlier, because for my journey, on my first year of teaching, that's when these investor people that would come visit you. I don't know if you got
Yes.
visited the
Oh,
first
yeah.
year of teaching.
We had a teacher.
Yeah. So they talked to me. It was two guys. I forgot their name, but they talk about investing moderately, kind of in the middle, and then aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
While you're still young, they promote that you invest
Aggressively,
because
right.
you have time to make mistakes and the market will bounce back, so on
Yeah.
and so forth, which
Mhm.
is true. The market just tends to bounce back up.
Yeah.
And so I started with $50.
Mhm.
I wish I had made that contribution of $5. I mean, 500 instead,
Uh-huh.
and then work my way up, because now I'm maxing out at
Yeah.
2,350.
Mhm.
Because if I do 10, I will meet my 1 year
Yeah.
max limit of 2,000 for my age.
Yeah.
23,500.
Yeah.
That's my max limit.
Mhm.
And then when I get to 50, I can add an extra 1,000 on top of that
Right.
every month or so. So yeah, that is something that I wish I had did a better job on,
Mhm.
because I was too busy, too young to think about retirement.
Yeah.
I'll just do a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
if I can, I would definitely try to do at least 10% of my pay, or
Yes.
maybe even 20 if you don't spend a lot. And
Yeah.
I didn't spend a lot, so I could have definitely do like 20% of my pay,
Yeah.
and or at least max out every year, because
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot, right? And
Yeah.
if you live in a frugal lifestyle,
Yes.
which I kind of do,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I would have way more saved now, but
Mhm.
still I can't tap into it yet,
Yeah.
because I still have to wait until I'm 55.
Yes.
which makes me feel like I'm in a good spot, but I could have done a little bit better. I
Mhm.
don't think I can do a lot more better,
Yeah.
but I can do a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So if you guys have any comments, leave your questions down below in the comments, because maybe Paul will watch this YouTube and just,
Oh, yeah. My whole
respond
family's going to
back.
watch.
Yeah. So is there any other last advice just for life in general that you have for people who are watching, teachers, non-teachers, just to live a better life?
Oh, health. Definitely look for healthy lifestyle. Again, don't borrow for depreciating assets, and live within your means. So I don't know other than great life advice other than living within your means and taking care of your health. And I would say, take time for yourself.
Mm.
Take time for yourself. There will be many demands upon your time. But as far as, like, say, your mental health, there's times when you just need a break and you need to take time for yourself.
Yeah. And let's just tell the audience, what do you do to take time for yourself when you were having, let's say, that teacher burnout? Because we all kind of go through it year
Sure.
after year. There's a certain period in the year where we're like, I'm so drained.
Oh, we used to, from Easter to Memorial Day.
Right about now?
We would call it the grind, because there are no holidays, there's no day offs, there's nothing. It's just 5 days a week for like 10 weeks. And you want to check out, but you can't. Your students want to check out, and so you're just like, okay, I've got to be even more on, because I've got to get them engaged, because they want to check out, because they're in the grind. And but I think, for me, I found a hobby. I do cycling, and so for me it was great, because I rode my bike to work and I rode my bike home. So it was like I could say, as I got on my bike, I am leaving all of my troubles, my problems, my stress behind. And now I have this period all to myself. I could listen to a book. I could just listen to the silence. But it was my time, and it was kind of to distance myself from work. So you couldn't call me. You couldn't, interrupt me. It was my time. And so for me, it was just that, bike ride home from work. I didn't ride in the rain, so so there was no stress there. But it was, we're in California. I could ride to work, most every day. So it was doing that, making time for family, being, I guess it would be where you are when you're there. And
Yeah.
I think for teachers, that's hard because you want to be thinking about, what am I doing tomorrow? What is my lesson? You know, what are those things? And yet you're with your family or you're with friends and they know that you're not there.
Yeah.
So it's really setting, and again, kind of thinking about yourself, but being there where you are, being present in the moment. And when you have those times to make memories, make memories. You know, I would say drive an old car, but have great memories.
Yeah, definitely. I can attest to that. Yeah, being a fellow teacher, like because we love our job, we always think about what can I do better to make my students' lives easier. And sometimes I wish I can hear what students are thinking so we can make their lives better. Right? Because as much as it sucks, sometimes that some students make our lives worse because they don't want to do what we're asking them to do. And for me, I personally just, when I start to feel that, and I start to feel like my students not listening, I just tell them, it's kind of guilt tripping, but at the same time, it's very truthful. I tell them, look, if you don't want to learn, that's fine, but you have to understand that I'm doing my best to help open doors for you. And if you want to not open doors for yourself, then I feel like I've done my part. Can we agree to that?
Yes.
And just having an honest talk with my students, like,
yeah,
I'm here every day for you. And if you're not here every day for yourself, then why are you here?
Yeah.
So it's it's a double-edged sword,
yes.
you know, to tell them like, okay, well, if you do it, it matters for you.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, then it, you know, it in the end, it just hurts you.
Yeah.
So you're not hurting me, you know, so it's kind of like, I don't know if that's mean or if it's just so honest that it's like, it's pure, right? It's pure sound advice.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. There you go. I don't feel so bad now saying that to my students.
From a veteran, good advice.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's it for our chat.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Paul.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I
It
learned a
was
lot.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, for those of you who are trying to save up to that $100,000, there's a video to that corner right there that shows you how you can start saving up to $100,000, starting with $1. All right. You know how we say goodbye? Rock, paper, peace.
Oh, okay.
You want to try that?
Okay, here we
Ready?
go.
1, 2, rock. 1, 2, paper.
Oh, paper.
And 1, 2, peace.
Peace.
Oh, try it again. Ready?
Okay, ready.
1, 2, rock. 1, 2, paper. 1, 2, peace.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.